There's me overseas, across the pond by the Dover Peaks. I've smuggled myself into new nationality.
Hey, what's up guys? This is Halfway, broadcasting from around the world in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And today I wanted to speak to you guys a little bit about adjusting to life living in Cambodia, or living in Phnom Penh specifically. And again, I'm going to gear this video more toward Americans. As I reiterate all the time, I'm from the US, so when I'm making things that require perspective, from my perspective, obviously I was in the US, so if you're watching this and maybe if you're from the UK or from, somewhere in Europe or wherever you're from, I can't give an accurate explanation as to how something like adjusting here will be compared to where you are from, because I never lived where you are from. Now, I'm sure that there are some similarities and some crossovers between a lot of like Western countries and the US, but again, I can only speak about my personal experience, so I can only speak on behalf of that. So, adjusting to living here, it's fairly subjective as it is anyway, regardless of where you're from, just depending on what kind of person you are. So if you're somebody who is like very easily able to just go with the flow and adapt in your normal life, like when things are happening to you or circumstances arise or changes occur, if you're the kind of person that just adjusts well to new situations, it's going to be obviously an easier transition for someone with those personality types. But no matter what, there's going to be some level of culture shock. So on one of my videos, somebody posted on my Facebook, they're like, when I was talking about coming here to live, like if you're not making as much money as you would like in the US, or you're struggling a little bit financially, how coming here could be beneficial for you because you can make as much or more money than you're making in the US, plus the cost of living is so low. So it's, multiple factors. It's like you're making significantly more money. But somebody commented and they were like, hey, like, you make it sound like so easy, like just like leave the US and go live in a third world country, where you can live good. Or live rich in a third world country, I think they said, even though I never said you will come here and live rich. You will live comfortably. You can live comfortably. Again, depending on your finances and what you have back home. But my point is, first of all, the stigma of a third world country, to the best of my knowledge, we use that term incorrectly anyway, so to speak. So Cambodia is a developing country, but as far as I'm aware, I'd have to go back and double check this to make sure I'm not providing you with information that's factually not true. But from what I remember learning a multiple of years ago, is that the third world, the term the third world arrived during the Cold War, and basically referred to any country that adopted democracy, like the US and Western Europe. These countries were called the First World. So the countries were referred to themselves as the First World. Then they called countries like the USSR or the Soviet Union, or like Cuba, or countries that were adopting communism, they called the Second World. And the Third World was just the countries that were still in limbo, that could be swung either way. So again, as far as I'm aware, that's where the term third world comes from. So when we say third world in a modern era, we're really talking about developing countries. So living in a developing country as opposed to a first world country, there are definitely differences, and there are differences that, like, as soon as you get here, you're obviously going to notice. Just in terms of like the infrastructure, the road systems just aren't as good. Some of the buildings are more drabby. although it depends, like in the US, you can go to, certain parts of certain cities and, or even towns, and, it can look like hell. But I mean, there's a lot of like things like garbage on the street. For example, there's garbage all over the street. Although it's something that is taken care of. Like it's part of just the routine of the day of what happens here. So instead of having like a garbage can outside of a building, everybody just piles their garbage in a pile on the side of the road. So it looks like there's just piles of garbage because there are, but they get cleaned up every night. A garbage truck comes around and picks up all the garbage. See every morning everybody's out in front of their shop sweeping up and spraying everything down the hose. And then as the day progresses, more garbage will accumulate. Now that's not to say sometimes I see places where there's garbage continually accumulating and it doesn't get cleaned up for a very long time. And I think that's just people finding places where they're just dumping their garbage and it's not like a place where they're supposed to be doing it. But stuff like that is different. Even just obviously the food is incredibly different. The style of cooking and the type of food that's used. Even eating with chopsticks, if you're not used to it, like I would recommend before coming here, like learn how to use chopsticks. You don't have to, like you can go to a lot of restaurants and eateries and they'll have like forks and spoons and knives. But ultimately, like chopsticks are the primary tool that people use to consume food. So I would learn how to use them just because of that. But then after a while, like after you're here for a while, all the aesthetics goes away. You just get used to the way things look and you get used to the way traffic manages and the way people handle themselves or the way that people present themselves. And like the cultural things, like you just get used to it after a while. And then it just becomes life. Like after a certain point, like I've stated, I've only been here for like 5 months. But it's already like just settling in that things that happen here are just life. Like it's just people going about their day, people trying to go to work, people trying to make money, people trying to get from point A to point B. And then you're just another cog in that system. And then at some point, the reality sinks in that this is just life again. Like there are more similarities to being here just because you're just experiencing life. And then there are some details about that life that are going to seem different to you. But at the end of the day, it's just you trying to, make $1 and trying to, eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and go to bed, and wake up and doing it again the next day, and then hopefully trying to find something fun to do on the weekend. So I hope that just provided you a little bit of introspection into like if you get here, like after a while, it just the initial the initial shock of being here just goes away, and it just becomes your life again. Just like, so don't come here expecting to like escape reality or like, oh, I'm gonna move, halfway across the world and everything's gonna be, 180 degrees different because I'm on 180 degree different plane of the earth. It's still the same thing. You're just having maybe a different climate depending on where you're coming from, and buildings might look different, and people might, act a little bit differently in some ways. But generally, it's just the same life in a new location. All right, guys. So I hope that helps you out a little bit if you're thinking about coming here. But at the same time, it's awesome because it is still different. Like to go back on everything I just said, like it is still different. But it's awesome here. Like I really really like it. If anybody's thinking about coming here, definitely contact me. Especially if you're coming here and you want to do teaching, like contact me. Like I have connections, I can talk to people, I can help you out, I can, do what I can do for you. Just, hit me up on the YouTube or my email at halfwayroundtheworldnow@gmail.com, halfwayroundtheworldnow@gmail.com. Or better yet, just leave a comment in the YouTube channel here. And don't be afraid to like, share, and subscribe. And you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later with my next video. Peace.